Welcome to IndoInsight. This is your channel for all about Indonesia, so let's get started. Indonesia and the Netherlands. A long road from colonies to companion. When people talk about international relationships shaped by history, few are as fascinating and emotional as the one between Indonesia and the Netherlands. It's a story that starts with spice ships and colonialism, but ends, for now, in friendship, cooperation, and mutual respect. Let's take a look at how two countries with such a difficult past ended up building a surprisingly strong relationship today. A history that's hard to ignore. To understand Indonesia and the Netherlands today, you have to rewind a few hundred years. Back in the early 1600s, Dutch traders arrived in what is now Indonesia, drawn by spices like nutmeg and cloves. These weren't just flavor boosters, they were worth a fortune in Europe. Over time, the Dutch East India Company set up shop across the archipelago. Eventually, the Netherlands turned Indonesia into a full-blown colony, known as the Dutch East Indies. It stayed that way until after World War II. During this colonial period, the Dutch controlled most aspects of Indonesian life, from government to plantations. And let's be honest, colonialism wasn't pretty. While the Dutch economy thrived off Indonesian resources, most Indonesians lived under harsh conditions and had little say in how things were run. Resistance simmered for years, with brave local leaders rising up, sometimes peacefully, sometimes not, trying to take back their land and dignity. Independence, the fight and the fallout. Fast forward to 1945. Japan had occupied Indonesia during the war, weakening Dutch control. When the war ended, Indonesian leaders declared independence. But the Dutch didn't let go easily. What followed was a messy, painful 4-year conflict. The Netherlands sent troops to try to reassert control, and Indonesia pushed back with everything it had. Eventually, under international pressure, the Netherlands officially recognized Indonesian independence in 1949. That recognition didn't mean things instantly got better. There were still wounds, mistrust, and bitterness on both sides. After all, Indonesia had just broken free from centuries of colonial rule. The idea of being friends with your former colonizer? Not exactly an easy sell. From cold shoulders to cooperation. The first few decades after independence were a little tense. Diplomatic relations were frosty, and there were several unresolved issues, including disputes over regions like West Papua and the situation of Moluccan communities in the Netherlands. But slowly, things began to shift. In the 1970s, the two countries reopened lines of communication and started working together on practical matters, like trade, education, and development aid. It wasn't about forgetting the past, but finding ways to move forward. By the 2000s, Indonesia and the Netherlands had become genuine partners. And today? They're not just on good terms, they're working together in some seriously cool ways. Business, water, and a whole lot of potential. Let's talk money, and not just spices this time. The Netherlands is one of Indonesia's top trading partners in Europe. Dutch companies are involved in everything from agriculture and shipping to clean energy and sustainable farming in Indonesia. One area where the Dutch really shine? Water management. The Netherlands has spent centuries keeping the sea at bay, literally, and they've brought that expertise to help Indonesia fight flooding, especially in Jakarta. It's a great example of two countries sharing knowledge to tackle 21st century challenges. There's also growing interest in digital tech, startups, and education partnerships. Indonesian students often study in the Netherlands on scholarships, and joint university programs are on the rise. Culture ties, more than just history. Even with a complicated past, Indonesia and the Netherlands share a lot culturally. Indonesian food is hugely popular in Dutch homes. Dishes like satay, rendang, and nasi goreng are regular favorites. Ever heard of a rice toffel? It's a Dutch take on an Indonesian feast with dozens of small dishes, an echo of colonial times, but now just delicious. There's also a big Indonesian community in the Netherlands, including people whose families moved after independence, especially from Maluku and West Papua. These communities keep Indonesian culture alive in the Netherlands through music, dance, festivals, and food. In Indonesia, many Dutch-era buildings still stand, especially in cities like Jakarta and Bandung. While they carry historical weight, they're also reminders of how intertwined the two countries' stories really are. Facing the past, honestly. Over the last few years, both governments have taken steps to talk openly about the difficult parts of their shared history. In 2020, King Willem-Alexander of the Netherlands apologized for the violence used by Dutch troops during Indonesia's independence war. It was a powerful moment, especially since many Indonesians had waited decades for official recognition of what their people endured. The Netherlands has also supported historical research projects, helping uncover the full truth about the colonial era. Indonesian and Dutch historians have worked side by side, digging into archives and oral histories to create a fuller picture for future generations. Is everything perfect now? Not quite. Some people feel the apologies and research came too late, but the fact that both countries are even having these conversations, openly and respectfully, is a big deal. So what's next? In today's world, Indonesia and the Netherlands are finding themselves on the same team more often than not. They both care about climate change, sustainable development, and global cooperation. Indonesia plays a key role in Southeast Asia, while the Netherlands serves as a gateway to Europe. The two countries also work together on issues like human rights, education, and tech innovation. It's a partnership that benefits both sides, and the rest of the world too. In 2024, they marked 75 years of diplomatic ties. And while that celebration included the usual official speeches and ceremonies, it was also a chance to reflect on how far they've come, from colonizer and colony to partners with shared goals and mutual respect. Final thoughts. The relationship between Indonesia and the Netherlands isn't simple, and it never will be. There's a long history behind it, some of it painful, all of it important. But what's inspiring is how both countries have chosen to keep moving forward, learning from the past rather than getting stuck in it. They've turned a story of conflict into one of cooperation. And in doing so, they show that it is possible to build something positive, even from a complicated legacy. As Indonesia and the Netherlands continue to grow their relationship in the 21st century, one thing's for sure: they're no longer stuck in the past. They're building a future together. Thank you for watching IndoInsight. Please subscribe and don't miss any updates or content from this channel.